Today, I'm going to talk with my colleague, Mr. Jakrapong Tawala. My name is Khaled Mashfiq. I work for UNITAR's Operational Satellite Application Program. And I'll be taking you through some of the services that we have for the ASEAN region. And we are going to focus on how we are using some of the European satellites to the maximum extent and for different emergency cases. So we are part of United Nations Institute for Training and Research. And the program I work for is called UNITAR's Operational Satellite Application Program. So in short, we go by UNOSAT. And UNOSAT is an operational application program inside UNITAR. So what we do, we use satellite imagery and for different various reasons, like for emergency response, for disaster risk reduction, for sustainable development. And we have been operational since 2001, and we try to extend our knowledge to different member states and also the countries through different capacity development programs. Right now, we have expanded in different regions. So our headquarters is in Geneva, but we have a regional liaison office in Bangkok, and there is one in Nairobi. And we also have an office with UN Global Pulse in New York. And then we also have other offices in Pacific, where we are running a big project in sustainable development. So very quickly, let me try to, okay. All right. So as I mentioned earlier, we have two main pillars. We do a lot of analysis, research, and innovation, and you'll see somewhat similar to Dr. Pirnan. We'll show you some examples where we use the European satellite data for kind of mapping disaster situations. And as always, we are part of UNITAR, the Institute for Training and Research. So we try to extend whatever we have learned through last 20 years to extend to different member states and different other stakeholders. So one of the major things that we do that is called UNOSAT Rapid Mapping Services. So we provide satellite imagery-based analysis. So not only satellite imagery, but we take the satellite imagery and we generate other information that can help the humanitarian response and emergency recovery, that kind of process. We are 24/7 operational, and this service is completely free to all member states and all the humanitarian agencies all over the globe. So you can see one little statistics at the bottom. 2020, there was COVID. So we had even more demand for satellite-based analysis because it was difficult to go to the field and do the post-disaster assessments because traveling was not allowed. It was not safe to travel to the field and do the damage assessment. So that reinforced the idea that we need to use satellites more and more to understand the situation, what is going on in different, after disaster in different countries. So we were activated 44 times in total 33 countries in 2020. So, so this is a more breakdown. For example, we mostly get activated by national disaster management offices of the different countries, and also the humanitarian actors like UN, and also IFRC and ICRC. So we get requests from various of these actors, and our service is extended for emergency services extended for free. So for example, 2020, apart from COVID-19, it was a very tough year. You see the one snapshot of the ASEAN region where we were activated last year. For example, Myanmar flooding, we mapped the Myanmar flooding. Then we had cyclone in Laos. Vietnam, we had 3 incidents, 1 drought, 2 tropical cyclones. In Philippines, 3 tropical cyclones hit. And we also had an incident in Indonesia where we were activated, that is a flood. So it was a very busy year in terms of emergencies. And these are not the exhaustive list of all the disasters, but these were the disasters UNOSAT was called upon by the country or the humanitarian agencies to support. And in some of the cases, we collaborated with UNSCAP, GISTA, and also, for example, tropical cyclone in Philippines, we mapped together with Copernicus EMS services. So we were part of the same disaster charter team who were taking different areas and analyzing. So this is what we do usually. For example, what you see, we create some new style of maps, not traditional cartography, some infographic based maps where the decision makers can easily see what's out there using satellite image. And we also provide all the source file, for example, shapefile, geodatabase, or whatever GIS data out there. So decision makers and the technical team in the country can utilize this data and make their own analysis. So our job is to extract information out of satellite image. Then the technical team in the country, the stakeholders in the government, they can do their own version of analysis and interpretation using those data. Then I go to the next. And as I mentioned earlier, we extend lots of different kind of training activities. We engage in master level training courses where we take some accredited courses with some universities like University of Copenhagen. Then we provide a lot of basic and advanced training courses. And we have been involved with GISTA for a long time now. And we have delivered lots of trainings, especially for the ASEAN region. So here are some examples. I'll not talk about it, but it will be shared with the presentation. So this is when I'm gonna hand over the floor to my colleague, Mr. Jakrapong, who is working as the senior mapper in UNOSAT's team. And he has been working really hard last year, and he's going to show you some examples of our mapping cases from last year. Jakrapong, floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Khaled. Can you hear me? Okay, hope everyone hear me well. So my name is Jakrapong. I am UNOSAT Rapid Mapping based in Bangkok office. So in this presentation, I will give you some our experience on the ASEAN region here. So this feature is about summary map to show how many tropical and typhoon which occur in Asia Pacific region in last year, 2020. Is to confirm that Pacific is the most disaster prone region. Last year, there were about 25 tropical cyclone, 10 typhoon, and 2 super typhoon as recorded. And according from the statistics showing that 2020 Pacific typhoon season was slightly below average season in annual cycle of tropical cyclone formation. But even it say lower, but let's look at ASEAN region. Khaled, next slide, please. Thank you. In this particular in ASEAN region, there's a high peak number of tropical cyclone started during September to November 2020, which was about 2 or 3 months that we work with this. As you have seen on the screen showing significant cyclone track across Philippines and Vietnam from September to November. Starting from September, tropical cyclone known made landfall in Vietnam and also affected to Laos and Thailand as well. And after that, following by Linfa, Nangka, and Sodel in October, 3 cyclone in 1 month. And after that, also Molave, Goni, and Vemco occur in November continuously. Particularly, tropical cyclone Goni was an extremely powerful tropical cyclone in made a landfall as a category 5, eventually with super typhoon on the Philippines and Vietnam as the tropical cyclone. In this caused the central part of both countries have been severely affected with strong wind, landslide, and flood. Next slide, please. Here is our workflow we have been followed in almost every activation in UNOSAT. For last year, tropical cyclone in ASEAN, we received the request from UNOSAT, from United Nations Office for the Coordination Humanitarian Affairs and also a heart center in the same time to analyze and access damage along the cyclone track in both countries. With the large amount of data, we cooperate with rapid mapping team in Geneva to support the data analysis and mapping. So the processing has been operated almost 24 hours with a data analysis between Bangkok and Geneva office because of time difference about 6 hours. It definitely Sentinel Hub and EO browser is a great tool during that time that allow us to rapid access data and also observing the overall situation and continuously monitor the flood situation. So in this case, UNOSAT also activated to the charter, the internal charter to support the satellite acquisition for flood analysis. And within 24 hours, we receive after we receive the request, UNOSAT released the preliminary report to show the number of potentially affected population in each area to give the overview situation assessment in each area under different wind speed zone. After and also after we also received data from Copernicus and the charter, we starting analysis data under our standard. And finally, we deliver a live map of the cyclone track prediction and also population exported report monitoring the flood situation as well as damage assessment in aftermath. As you have seen in our analysis tool in the list, which is UNOSAT Flood AI, it was successfully developed by our team using Sentinel-1 as the key input. Actually, it's not applied for this year activation yet, but it already have been officially launched to use in Africa region already. We also have a good news for this region, which will be informed by Khaled in the last slide in this presentation about flood AI using in this region. After product quality control has been met, it was distributed to a requester and also UNICEF partner both in regional and national regional agency. Next slide, please. So this is an example how UNOSAT use satellite imagery data to analyze the flood situation. It is significantly showing that Sentinel-1 is a crucial data during tropical cyclone seasoning, which allow us to continuously monitoring and flood extent and timely deliver result to the user. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this flowchart also showing our analysis diagram. After receiving the flood extent, we automatically operate a further analysis by using overlay and sonar statistic methodology with facility data such as school, hospital, road, agriculture area, and also population. By doing this, we will get the number of affected infrastructure and population in each administrative level. I mean, in district level or in sub-district level, depending on the request. But access the house damage, we will change the data source to be the high resolution imagery that we receive from the charter to analysis and compare with the OpenStreetMap data to summarize the percentage of damage. Next slide, please. Finally, we get a series of map product has been created and released under our concrete standard of UNOSAT to help requester easily understanding and flood evolution and understand flood evolution. Also help them to cooperate with the ground in the team. There is one web map for each country and 5 report for Vietnam and 3 report for Philippines, which is including preliminary report and damage assessment report. Also, the flood map totally about 29 maps for Vietnam and 16 maps for Philippines. And yeah, as you have seen on the right corner, upper right corner, is about flood depth that we developed in this year. Also, the ShareFile GDB, as mentioned, Khaled mentioned, available in UNOSAT website as the link show on the screen. Next slide, please. Okay, I think that's all for my presentation. I will over to you, Khaled, for your summary.
Thank you, Jakrapong. And sorry, really apologize for going over the line a bit. So I'll take 2 minutes to sum up and close my presentation. So we wanted to give a big kudos to this team at EU-Browser for developing such a amazing tool where lots of basic remote sensing, basic querying, and lots of interesting processing can be done from just a web browser. So I think this should be the way of the future, to kind of provide the data and unlock the data for also non-technical users. So as soon as we make things easier, we make the satellite image use easier, you will have more and more people getting interested in this kind of data. And also more and more people will be aware what kind of information can be available. So this kind of tool provides a bigger opportunity for this industry to grow. So big kudos to this team who developed your browser. Finally, one tool that we have been developing is somewhat similar to what Dr. Piranan was mentioning in the previous session. But what we are doing, we are using AI, some deep learning models, to kind of take a huge amount of radar data, because radar data is heavy and complex in nature. So what we try to do is to cut down the processing time and get flood extent automatically. So what we developed is called Flood AI model. We have ingested tons of training data from different regions in Asia, Africa, and to our surprise, in most of the cases, this AI model is performing even better than human analysts. So we have calibrated the model for Mozambique. Recently, we have tested it for Bangladesh, which works really brilliantly. And right now, our testing is ongoing with Vietnam data. So very soon, we'll be able to also cut down our processing time and generate much more reliable flood information using AI models and deep learning models. Thank you very much. Over to you, Julia.